2016, we think the Iowa economy is going to improve dramatically, improve slightly, remain about the same, regress slightly or regress dramatically, and then of course what?
I think it's going to actually remain about the same. I don't see the reasons out there that would significantly move. You know, a lot of people have a misimpression about Iowa, and certainly people that are coming to our state here in the last 6 months have been maybe better informed. But in spite of being one of the greatest agricultural states, agricultural regions in the world, it still represents about 7% of the economy. Insurance is kind of 6 or 7%. Finance is kind of 6 to 7%. Manufacturing is kind of closer to 12 to 15. And as I said to a Bloomberg report the other day, one of the things we're very blessed with here in Iowa is a very diversified economy, quite different than Houston and other parts of the world. So we have that going for us. I said the second thing we have is a very, very talented labor force. As a matter of fact, that's one of the top concerns that I have is that we run out of labor, and we just don't have people to step into some of these really new jobs that require different skill sets than what we've had in decades in the past. And then lastly, what I would say is we are a large exporter. Very few people realize, if you look at that TPP legislation, 51% of the Iowa products and services are actually exported. There's 170,000 people employed in Iowa that are tied directly to TPP. There's 40 million around the U.S., so we are a large exporter, more than just ag products.
I think it gets a little better, in part for a couple of reasons. I think commodity prices are going to find a bottom here and have a pretty good year after having a miserable 18 months. I think if you look at the history, we look at this commodity collapse as though it's really scary because why are we having such a collapse in commodities in the middle of an economic recovery? But historically, this is the third recovery in the last 4 in the United States, dating back to the Carter recovery in the late 70s, where we had a collapse in commodity prices like this one, right smack dab in the middle of the economic recovery. In every previous case, commodities, once they bottomed, the recovery lasted for several more years after the bottom, in every case. And actually, the economy accelerated, and commodities snapped back pretty hard. They didn't recover at all, but they snapped back pretty hard, pretty fast. Oil prices typically have V-shaped bottoms once they find a bottom, and there's been about 6 others of those since 1980, and on average, they rise almost 80% within 12 months of the bottom. So I think we're going to get a fairly decent move up in commodity prices, but more importantly, what that will do, to your point, I think, is stabilize manufacturing. So to the extent that's a little bigger part of both agriculture and manufacturing, I think if we stabilize and bounce that a bit, I think it's going to feel better here in Iowa, certainly in North Dakota, Texas, but I think Iowa as well.
Debi?
Well, I'm slightly optimistic. I think we're going to see a slight. Do I have to do something? I think you're going to see a slight improvement. And, you know, I think you'll see around a 2.5% growth rate, you know, net of inflation. And though we have all the concerns we talked about with commodity prices, and I concur with you on that, strong dollar hurting our exports, you know, we're going to be off probably 20% when the books are closed on 2015 after a record year of 2014 in exports. But the bright spots I see are this. One is it is a diversified economy. The insurance and finance platform, as Dan very well knows and can speak better than I, is very strong. Granted, the manufacturing, particularly in the ag part, is very sluggish, and we've shed a lot of jobs, but I'd be hit to see some stabilization in that. But the thing that I think is a real bright spot for Iowa is really this innovation entrepreneurship platform, right? And what we're seeing here that's occurring there, both in research that's coming from the university for commercialization, but certainly what is starting with our small businesses as people look at other options. So that's why I believe we're going to see a slight increase. And I think there's some new initiatives that we're going to talk about that we're really looking towards what are the future plays for Iowa that can really begin to even further diversify that economy.
Okay.
I'm going to play off, oh, that's way out. There we go. I'm going to play off of what's already been said here. Diversified economy is an asset that we are really, really blessed with. Plus our diversified strengths, agriculture, manufacturing, finance, healthcare, education. All of those are very, very strong assets in the state's economy. We don't swing up and down like we used to 20, 30, 40 years ago. We have some countervailing forces, and so that works to stabilize. The ag economy feels a little bit weak right now. Commodity prices are low, but everything involved with agriculture is baked into the economy. They are going to put in a crop. Everything, every relationship is already there. All of the upstream and downstream relationships are already there. All of that says that there's nothing out there that's wanting to pull our economy one way or the other. What really matters, what I try to pay attention to when I talk about the economy, is our economy depends on how well everybody else is, not so much how well we are. They buy what we sell. So the rest of the United States, the rest of the world buys what we sell. Are there things that keep them from buying what we sell? Well, we already talked about this, the low commodity prices. Right now, everybody who's buying anything has more discretionary income, if you're at the household level or if you're at the producer level, than they had just a year ago. That in and of itself is beneficial to the economy. We flip it around though, high value of the dollar. We export a lot of what we produce here, and that limits or hinders our ability to grow. So there's weakness on the export side, there's weakness on the potential for manufacturing to grow. Manufacturing recovered at a nice rate for a bit, and then it just fizzled out. And it's not going to get back to what it was in 2008. And what we worry is that it's going to be the long-term trend of starting to go down again. We still produce as much goods or commodities, we just need less labor to do that, and it's not expanding. My outlook for the year is kind of like last year, just kind of like last year. It's going to be a stable, slow, steady. The unemployment rate isn't going to improve that much more, a little bit more. There's no other thing in the economy that's going to drag us out or up. So that's my best guess.